This is my favorite thing, asking questions.
Fun part.
All right, so why don't you talk about when you were playing as a young player in the Kansas City area. You were not highly recruited by the big colleges. You went to a junior college. You were not highly drafted. Why don't you talk about what those early times were as a young player, whether you have big league ambitions, and how you felt about not going higher in the draft?
I think about it all the time. But, you know, I remember getting drafted in 1999 by the Cardinals. And I remember they saying I was a drafting follow. There was a guy that drafted me. His name was Dave Carroll, I believe. And I went and played Summer League that year. It was really frustrating because, you know, growing up in the Dominican, obviously education was first to me. My dad and my mom, they always told me, you know, you need to concentrate on your education. Baseball is almost like a coin that you flip it up in the air, heads and tail, and if you get the opportunity, then you get to the pro. But I remember down there that all I wanted to do is just go into school and play baseball. So finally I got the opportunity in '99, got drafted by the Cardinals. It took almost the whole summer to sign with the Cardinals. And part of that was because, you know, we were talking about they want to give me, I think it was $15,000 for a bonus, but they didn't want to pay for my school. So I was telling them, I'm like, forget about my bonus and, you know, pay for my school. I mean, I can sign for $1,000 for you give me. I just want my school because, you know, getting to the big league is no guarantee to anybody. Any athlete can tell you that. I mean, we all, as an athlete, we are blessed to have the skill that God has given us to play this game, but at the same time, it's no guarantee that you're going to make it to the big leagues, because you see a lot of cases where a guy had a great career, first 2 years in the big league, great numbers, and 2 years later they're out of, you know, working somewhere else. So I remember '99, you know, got drafted, 402 in the draft, left the house, really crying, just really disappointed because I feel all that hard work and, you know, going in the 402 in the draft. You know, it was a little disappointing, but I got in the car. I told my wife, at that time she was my girlfriend, I'll be back. I need to go out, you know, just drive around. And I remember a story. It was like God sending me a message, a story about George Brett. Same thing happens to him. He got drafted. He was really disappointed about how he went in the draft. And I believe his older brother, who passed away a long time ago, told him, you know what, if you're good enough, prove to these people and go out there and sign and make it to the big leagues in 2 or 3 years. So I went back home. It was like a straight message. I told my wife, you know what, no matter what the Cardinals give me, I'm going to sign. And I'm going to tell myself I'm going to play for 3 years. If I don't make it to the big leagues, then I quit. Which at that time probably was a lie, because if I would have still in the minor league, I would have still playing, because this is the passion that I had growing up in the DR, watching my dad, my uncles, my aunt, everybody in my family play sport, whether it's volleyball, basketball. So I told my wife, I'm gonna sign this contract and I'm gonna go and play. Thank God it's only took me 1 year to get to the big leagues. And obviously, you guys know my story, the rest is history. You know, I went to instructional league. I remember I was supposed to be a drafting follow. A drafting follow means a guy that maybe a chance to get to the big league, maybe no. And, you know, but it's just been a blessing since till that day. And I believe, you know, that I'm not done. I still got 8 more years. My first couple of years with the Angel haven't been fun. But I still got 8 more years to hopefully finish strong.
One thing about Albert is there's several places we can go with this, but to me, the dramatic story is a good way to make a point sometimes. And he was, in our time, one of the great pressure hitters. If you look at his numbers, in not just regular season, but he would carry it into the postseason, and that's always a good measure. In fact, there are great players that would go into the postseason, and their numbers would be under 200, and it was a difficult thing. But Albert was always pressure personified. So I would ask him to just take us through this one at bat. It's 2005. We were playing the Houston Astros, who were really good at the time. We played them in 2004. 7 games we win. Now it's 2005, and they got us 3 games to 2, 3 games to 1. And if they win Game 5, we had split in St. Louis. We're playing the 5th game in their place. They're up 3-1 game-wise. If they win this game, they're going to the World Series for the first time in their history. Indoors, they kept, I think they did it on purpose. They would kept the place closed because they had the bees, Bijou, Bagwell, Berkman, the killer bees, and they had the bzzz, and the fans were making so much noise. It's like the Metrodome. I mean, it'd drive you nuts. So we're going to bat in the top of the 9th inning, and they got a 2-run lead. They get the first 2 guys out. So the place was going nuts. I mean, you couldn't hear anything. And I can remember as a manager, I'm thinking, you know, we're going to get beat. And in the back of my lineup card, I started to make a note about, because now our friends, the press, are going to come in and ask you how you lost this thing. You know, I started to make a note. And David Eckstein goes to bat, and he hits a little ground ball for base hit. Jim Edmonds comes up and walks. So see if you can recall what you were doing. When Jimmy was up at bat and Brad Lidge is pitching, what were you thinking on deck circle? What did you think going up there? How did you do what you did?
Well, I go back, remember in the bottom of the 8th, I was playing first base, and, you know, there's the left, there's the dugout, and I'm looking over there, they're all celebrating already. And as you guys know, you can't celebrate in this game too soon until you don't finish the game, because it happened many times. So they're all celebrating, you know, some of the pitchers were doing the champagne thing with their hand, and I'm looking over there, and I was just so angry. I was like, there was something on me that I was asking God, you know what, give me an opportunity. I want an opportunity. I want to be the last guy this year to make the last out in our team. So I was hitting 5th, I believe, in that inning. So top of the 9, coming in, looking to their dugout. Right away, I usually wait until I'm coming up 3rd or maybe 4th to put my batting glove. But there was something on me that I was going to get up in that inning, and I was going to do something. So I grabbed that batting glove, I grabbed my helmet. In Houston, that Tony usually stand out most of the time to the right. So I'm behind him praying and asking God, just give me one opportunity. I want one opportunity. It was just something in me that I want to be ready, because I knew that I probably was going to go out there, make it either the last out. I never imagined that I was going to hit a 3-run homer, but I got myself ready. So 2 outs. Then Dave got that basic, which it was probably the best at-bat of that year, because he battled a lot of pitch he got an 0-2 count, 2-2 count, and finally got a base hit. Jimmy got that walk. And here I come. I'm sitting on that desk going like, okay, you just pray for it. This is your time. So I think the mistake that Brad made is first pitch that he threw was a slider, his best pitch. And I ended up chasing it. It was a ball in the dirt. And I ended up chasing that pitch, and I told myself he's going to come with that pitch again and be ready. And as you guys know, for a pitcher, they're probably going to go in that situation to the best pitch. And Brad Lidge, at that time, was one of the best closers in the game, probably the best slider in the game in our league. And I was just ready. As soon as he released that ball, it was like, I saw that ball right away as soon as he lifted his hand. Like, it's just unbelievable. I mean, as soon as he released the ball, I knew I was going to make contact. I didn't know I was going to hit it 450 feet away. It's one of those things that as soon as he threw the ball, I made contact. And, I mean, I always say, you could have dropped a penny in that dirt, and you would have heard it. That's how loud that place was, and it was quiet. I mean, it was quiet. It was amazing. It was probably one of my best games, but I also believe that it wasn't our best season, because we ended up losing Game 6 in St. Louis. So I think it would have been more special to me if, or to our our team that year if we would have won that Game 6 and Game 7 going to the World Series. But it was a great season. It was a great at bat, and it's one of those things that. So it was one of those things that it's amazing. He's still yelling with no mic. But I was, it was just one of those things that I never took anything for granted, and seeing them celebrating over there with the game not over yet, it was just it kind of one of those things that it kind of pissed me off a little bit. Like Coach Knight say.
Well, there was a real nice moment. I mean, he launched, for all the, probably most of you have seen that replay, but I mean, he just hit it perfect. I mean, it's 450 feet and over the tracks. I mean, disappeared in the, so, like an orbit. This was Houston, right? So there's a PS story to that, which became a teammate of ours in 2011, Lance Berkman. It was probably one of the best combinations of, a lot of guys that are funny, they don't know when to stop the jokes, and they don't compete all that great at times. And Berkman he's great in the clubhouse, and he tells stories, but when the game starts, he's clicking on. So the story the Astros tell, they were really, I mean, their fans, they were celebrating the World Series. Oh, it's gone. I mean, he said, and it was mute, and you could hear him running around the bases. It was amazing. So they were a down club. They messed up their chance to clinch at home, and they're going back to St. Louis where we're really good. They get on the plane, and they say that Berkman, as they were taking off, he gets the PA. He says, "Hey, look out the window to the left. There's Albert's home run." But I think well, if you're great in whatever, but in sports, if you're great, you have a bunch of qualities. And one of the things that I know after observing is his work ethic. Maybe you can give them an idea of what your daily program. This is 162 times a year. Not to mention in spring training. Now he works like a fanatic. In fact, we would have young kids that would join our team, and you got to learn how hard it is and how hard you have to work. I want you to watch Albert, and then he'd come up, a couple of them, and say, "Hey, Albert, can I be like you?" I said, "Yeah, come with me." It's like at 7:30 in the morning, he would start working, and after about 3 days, those kids would not show up anymore. But during the season, he would maintain that. So why don't you tell him what your on a home game, what your daily routine would be?
Well, on the whole gang, I pretty much go to sleep thinking about the guy that I'm facing tomorrow. I wake up early, have breakfast, take a shower, go to the ballpark, thinking about, let's say we're facing Roy Oswalt. Get to the ballpark really early, around 1 o'clock, 1:30, and just watch video for about a couple of hours, about his last start, or what he did last time that he faced, at that time, the Cardinals or our ball club. Because whether he has success or no, he's going to pitch the same way. He might make little adjustment, on hitter, but he might keep the same pattern. So I like to watch, video for a couple of hours. We have our hitters meeting. Before our hitters meeting, I like to go to the cage and take about 50 to 70 swings, just to get me loose. I go to the hitters meeting, and then we get about 4:30, 4:35 stretch, and then batting practice, which we only take about 20 to 30 swings, and then get back in, have a little fruit, whatever, and get ready for the game. And that's when everything, most of the guys wait probably until 5 o'clock, 2 hours before the game to zoom everything in. For myself, what's been successful in my career is as soon as I get to that ballpark, I like to listen to Christian music on my way to the ballpark. And as soon as I get to the parking lot, get out of the car, walk into the locker room, and start zooming everything. I mean, to me, everything, and I'm bringing from up here all the way and concentrating, have that game face. I mean, sometimes the media got mad at me because, I was just so concentrating about the game, and sometimes they come and talk to me. I didn't have that time because there was always time for the media, but afterwards, If I had to go hit, if I had to go watch my video, that's what got me where I am today. So I need to continue with that program. So there's around 6:45, 15 minutes, 20 minutes before the game, I go back to the cage. So that's my third time going to take some swings, which I take about 30 to 40 swings, and then get ready for the game at 7:05 and hopefully do some damage.
So you count the 70, the 30,
Yeah.
it's like in batting practice another 25 or 30, and then the first one off the tee. You know, he probably swings somewhere 200, 250 times every day times 162. That's the work ethic. I got a couple more, but I know we're making this one a quick one because it's just the two of us. If there are questions, probably a good time to take them now. If not, I've got a couple other ways to go here. But anybody? Glenn?
Yeah, Tony, I was talking with Albert last night, and we were talking about the foundation, and I think what he does is amazing, and I'd really like to hear him talk about that a little bit.
You know, he's Glenn talked about that Albert off the field has a foundation. He's been very hard working at. In fact, I think it's tomorrow, the last session. We have a session about giving back with guys, and Albert's will be a part of that. But maybe you can give him a preview now.
Yeah. Well, it's the Pujols Family Foundation.org, and you know, we concentrate. I have a daughter with Down syndrome. She's gonna be 16 years old on Friday. Is it next Friday? Yeah. Well, the 26th, so whenever the 26th is. So we're throwing a big party for her. But we started our foundation in 2005. I remember getting to St. Louis in 2001, and they were struggling with the Down syndrome kids around the area. So we got it right away, really involved, and you know, that became my passion. We gave birth to our foundation in 2005. We just got back from the Dominican Republic with our mission trip, 23 daughters. I mean, it was just a great experience. Probably about more than half were the first time with our mission trip down there. We probably treat about close to 1,500 kids. You're talking about eye care, glasses, surgery, I mean, anything you name it. Whatever we cannot do down there in the Dominican, we try to talk to the consul and get a visa and hopefully bring it to the United States. But our main focus through our foundation was kids with Down syndrome. Having a daughter, obviously that was easy for us, for me and my wife to choose. And you know, through the foundation, we just do different events every year. I mean, we went from 15, 20 events to now 80 events a year. You're talking about showing them how to cook, how to talk, how to go to a prom with a date. I mean, basketball, all-star basketball, Albert Pujols on Sunday, stuff like that. And it's something that I believe we all have responsibility. I have a responsibility with God, which is the most important thing in my life, my family, my kids, and obviously giving back to the community, because we can't take what God has given on this earth. So as I'm here, I want to make a difference, and I want to help those who need, and that's what we do with the Pujols Family Foundation. So if you want to look, if you have time sometime and you're on the laptop or computer, you can click PujolsFamilyFoundation.org, and it'll give you a list of the events and then the trips that we make down to the Dominican Republic.
I'm talking about, by a huge margin, the most involved player I have ever seen with giving back. And he does that tremendously during the winter, and even during the season, 162 games, he'll take a Sunday night or a day game with a night event or an off day. That's why the initials I have for him are Albert P. Pujols. I think he's Albert Perfect Pujols. In the back, sir, you had a question?
Yeah, Albert, Tony. Tony, you often talk about Albert as being one of the guys that you turn to you pick the leaders to help influence the team. So when you walked out of the locker room, something would get done. Albert, I'm wondering if you could tell a story on Tony. One of the times he asked you to do something you really didn't want to do or you didn't agree with, but since you've made that commitment to him, you had to move the clubhouse that direction. How did that actually work? You know, when he left the room, maybe there's a story there. How did you feel holding that responsibility? How did you carry that out?
I think the only thing that I didn't agree with Tony was not put him in the All-Star game in 2007. So he let a pitcher hit, and he got me in the
Oh,
bench.
that guy didn't do that.
No, what was it?
No.
So that's for another day. No, I think since it was picking on Tony, you know, I figured
Aaron Rowland hit with the bases loaded, and strategically, thought it was okay. He's the last player we had, and we made this rally. And in those days, we didn't have the extra players like we have now to protect the extra innings. So I thought, but for the showcase, the entertainment, it was one of the dumbest things I ever managed, because we had made this great rally, bases loaded, 2 outs in San Francisco, and I was, if I had a pinch hit Albert, the place would have gone electric. And I sat there, go ahead, Aaron, and Albert looks at me like, the gamblers get to you, what are you doing? So, but anyway, yeah, he was one of the leaders. How did you handle that?
Well, to answer your question, I think you know, we all talking about championship, and you know, everything started with our captain. Tony's been more than just a manager to me. He's like a dad to me, and like he said, you know, having guys like Dave Duncan, Dave McKay, Cheo Kendall. I mean, we had a really strong core in St. Louis, and to us was really easy. It was just that trust, you know, that you need to have with the player and a manager and a player. I remember Tony, when my first time in the DL in 2003, he told me, listen, I know you hurt, but I think I hurt my elbow in Milwaukee, and I took a week off, and I wanted to play so bad. And he told me, I can't put you out there because you hurt. If you throw it, they're going to fire me. So I'm like, Tony, trust me, I can play. So I got out there. But to answer your question, we had a strong core. I think in 2003, Tony got 5 or 6 guys, veteran guys, you know, to get together, to just take care of things in the clubhouse. Because, you know, he has a lot of things going on. He has to write the line. He has to talk to the media every day. So little things in the clubhouse, we got myself, Carr, Molina, Wainwright, back, and then Woody Williams, Matt Morris. So we started a little group to just take care of the things in the clubhouse. You're talking about whether a guy didn't run the base hard. I mean, just to bring that up and just to teach him, because I believe that to win a championship, you had to have a strong core, and that's what he built in the city of St. Louis, and that's what I hope I'm gonna bring to Anaheim, because what they told me, the coaches, because you know, part of that success, I have to give all the credit to the Lord, but to our coaching staff too in St. Louis, because if it wouldn't be without them, I wouldn't accomplish what I have accomplished today in my career. So I think it was really easy for him to trust us and that, and I don't think there was any time that we look ourselves as a player when he walk up and say, man, we don't agree with that, because most of the time he went straight to the point, and we believe he was our captain. If that boat sink, you know, we were in sync with him.
Well, thank you for the question, Walter. Just a PS, and I think it's really an important point to make, because you know, the first session we had was magical. You had Oscar Robertson, you got Jerry West from that era where things were different, and you could tell winning and losing was everything to them. And you know, it wasn't the money; it was being a teammate. And now it's different. And I'm sitting there, you know, my skin's crawling, not because they're wrong, but because I know that if you lead in a different way, and you have players that buy in today, right now, you can still have players and teams that care about winning and losing and care about professionalism. And we had it with St. Louis, and we did it with people like Albert sharing the leadership role with their team. So I think it's a good way to stop before we go to lunch and just let you know that what Jerry and Oscar were talking about was more automatic. Wasn't easier, it was more automatic then. Now you have to go at it a different way, but it's still possible. And with that, we're going to take a break for lunch. I do want a quick shout out. You know, we're doing the second, and the reason this thing worked the first year, and I want to acknowledge that in this second year, we had 3 great partners Bob Knight, Joe Torre, and Julie Fowdy back there, who's going to present right after the break. So you do this because friends know friends, and we work together and help each other. And Albert's got his basketball with Meadowlark on Sunday and his Christmas dinner on Saturday, the 7th of December. I'll be there, and he'll be there for us. That's how we work this thing, man. It's so powerful, and it's how this thing works. So enjoy so far. And